Gooseberry Falls State Park. Cascading waters, verdant forests. But beneath this serene landscape lies a peculiar cave. Known as the Cave of Lost Souls, it seems shallow and harmless at first glance. But beware, for those who dare to enter are never seen again, leaving behind only whispers and chilling tales among the locals. Once upon a time, a group of 4 friends embarked on an adventure, drawn by the allure of Gooseberry Falls. They marvelled at the breathtaking beauty that surrounded them, their spirits lifted by the enchanting scenery. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting a magical mosaic of light and shadow on the forest floor. Their laughter rang through the trees, a symphony of joy and freedom. Suddenly, Emily's ears caught a faint, unsettling sound. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice tinged with unease. A low rumble, almost imperceptible, seemed to emanate from the heart of the falls. "It's probably just the falls," Mark said, attempting to mask his own apprehension with a reassuring smile. But as they ventured closer, an undeniable sense of foreboding began to creep into their hearts. The air grew thick with moisture, and an almost tangible sense of dread enveloped them. It was then that they noticed it, a narrow, almost hidden path leading towards the base of the falls. The path led to a dark cave, its entrance cloaked in mystery and foreboding. They hesitated, the tales of the cave echoing in their minds. Excitement surged through David, the fearless explorer, as he dashed towards the shadowy path. "Wait up!" Sarah's voice echoed, tinged with unease as she hurried after him. An unsettling feeling gnawed at her. The roar of the waterfall grew louder, almost as if warning them to stay away. "This place gives me the creeps, even for you, David," Mark quipped, his voice bouncing off the cave walls in eerie echoes. The air was thick with an oppressive silence, punctuated only by the steady drip, drip, drip of water from the cave's unseen depths. Little did they know the cave held a dark secret. The cave yawned open into a vast cavern, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and an ancient, almost primal essence. The final rays of sunlight fought to pierce the gloom, casting long, twisted shadows that danced and writhed on the cavern walls like spectres. "Hello? Is anyone in there?" David's voice rang out, filled with a mix of hope and dread. His call echoed through the cavern, bouncing off unseen walls and returning to them distorted and amplified like a ghostly chorus. But the only reply was an unsettling silence. A cold draught swept through the cavern, sending shivers down their spines, as if the cave itself was breathing. "Maybe we should go back," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the sound of their own breathing. But even as she spoke, she knew they wouldn't leave. The Cave of Lost Souls had ensnared them, and deep down they all knew they could never get out of the cave. They are now trapped and become prisoners. The locals of Gooseberry Falls held a chilling secret. The Cave of Lost Souls was no mere campfire tale to spook children. It was a living, breathing enigma. Generations of hushed warnings couldn't hide the cave's sinister past. Stories passed down from grandparents to grandchildren spoke of its unquenchable hunger, a hunger that demanded to be sated. And what did it crave? Human souls? The earliest tales spoke of the Native American tribes who once roamed these lands. They named the cave, the place where spirits wander. They believed it to be a portal to the underworld, where anyone who entered was lost forever. Gather round, folks, and let me tell you the eerie tale of Jedediah Hemlock, a reclusive trapper who vanished without a trace. Known to the townsfolk as Old Man Hemlock, he lived a solitary life on the fringes of our growing town. His only companions, the whispering trees and the call of the wild. One crisp autumn morning, Hemlock set out for the falls, his trap line leading him closer to the forbidden cave than he had ever dared to venture before. Some say he saw something in the woods that day, a flicker of shadow that beckoned him towards the cave's gaping maw. Others whispered that the cave itself called to him. Its voice carried on the wind, whispering his name. Whatever the reason, Hemlock stepped into the cave and was never seen again. His traps lay untouched. His cabin stood silent and empty, a ghostly reminder of the man who once lived there. Search parties scoured the woods for weeks, their lanterns casting eerie shadows. But the old trapper was never found. The legend of Old Man Hemlock remains a chilling reminder. Those who enter the cave are lost forever. Picture this, the roaring 20s, a time of jazz, flappers and endless excitement. Gooseberry Falls was the perfect escape for city folks craving a break from the urban frenzy. Among the visitors was a spirited group of college students, eager to break free from their academic chains and dive into adventure. They had heard whispers of a mysterious cave, tales of its haunting beauty, and the legends that cloaked it in mystery. Fueled by curiosity and a dare, they decided to brave its depths. With flashlights in hand and hearts pounding with youthful invincibility, they ventured into the cave's winding passages. They were awestruck by the towering stalactites and stalagmites, the shimmering underground streams, and the echoes of their laughter that danced off the cavern walls. But soon their joy turned to dread. The cave seemed to twist and turn, a living maze that defied logic. With every step, the passages shifted and changed, as if the cave itself were alive, and those who dared to enter became victims to the cave. When the students vanished without a trace, the community sprang into action, assembling a search party with a sense of urgency and hope. Seasoned trackers and park rangers, armed with gear and determination, plunged into the cave, their hearts set on rescuing the lost adventurers. Yet the cave, shrouded in mystery, revealed nothing, as if it were a guardian of its own dark secrets. Days melted into weeks, and the flicker of hope began to fade, replaced by the grim reality of the passing hours. Undeterred, the search party delved deeper into the cave, driven by a relentless quest for answers. But, like the students before them, they too vanished into the abyss, leaving behind only silence and abandoned gear. The disappearance of the search party sent ripples of fear and disbelief through Gooseberry Falls, a town now gripped by the unknown. The cave, once a beacon of adventure, had transformed into a place of dread, its entrance now a symbol of fear and caution. With only the faint glow of their flashlights to guide them, the brave explorers ventured further into the ominous depths of the Cave of Lost Souls. The temperature plummeted, and the damp air clung to their skin like an icy embrace. The path twisted and turned, treacherous and uneven, as if the cave itself was luring them deeper into its dark heart. Moisture-slick walls seemed to close in, and the darkness beyond their flashlight beams morphed into menacing shapes. Emily shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around her, the cold seeping into her bones. "I don't like this," she whispered, her voice quivering with fear. "Maybe we should turn back," she suggested, her eyes wide with uncertainty, but even as she spoke, a sense of inevitability hung in the air. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the cave, the explorers found themselves in a labyrinth of interconnected caverns, each chamber more magnificent and daunting than the last. Towering stalactites dangled from the ceiling like the fangs of a colossal beast, while stalagmites jutted from the ground like the claws of some ancient creature. The air grew thick and heavy, laden with the weight of countless ages, and filled with the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and elusive. Suddenly they heard it, a faint sound, barely discernible above their own breathing and the steady drip of water. It was a low moan, mournful and filled with an unspeakable sadness that seemed to seep into their very bones. "Did you hear that?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely a tremor in the oppressive silence. As they rounded a bend in the passage, their flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Suddenly their hearts leapt with a mix of hope and terror. There in the heart of the cavern, a faint light flickered, casting long, ghostly shadows that seemed to come alive. It was a campfire, small but burning brightly, a beacon of hope in the oppressive darkness. "Hello!" David called out, his voice echoing eerily through the cavern. The figure by the fire stirred, slowly rising to its feet. As it turned towards them, the flames revealed the gaunt features of an old man, with wild, unkempt hair and eyes that gleamed with an unnatural intensity. He was dressed in rags, his body thin and emaciated as if he had been trapped in the cave for years. And then he spoke, his voice a raspy whisper that slithered through the air like a serpent. "Those who enter this cave can never get out," he hissed, his words hanging in the air like a dark omen. The hikers stood paralyzed, their breaths caught in their throats. An old man emerged from the shadows, his greeting dripping with an eerie menace that sent shivers down their spines. His eyes, glowing with a disturbing intensity, seemed to bore into their very souls. "Who are you?" Mark stammered, his voice barely more than a tremor in the night. The old man let out a chuckle, a dry, brittle sound like the rustling of dead leaves in the wind. "They call me Jedediah," he rasped, his voice a grating whisper that seemed to seep from the shadows themselves. "But you," he continued, his gaze sweeping over them with a predatory hunger, "you can call me the gatekeeper." Confusion and fear battled for dominance on the hikers' faces. "Whoever enters the cave," Jedediah whispered, "is lost forever." The hikers exchanged uneasy glances, their fear palpable in the dense, shadowy woods. Jedediah's words, dripping with a sinister double meaning, did little to soothe their growing dread. "What do you mean?" David demanded, his voice tinged with defiance and fear. With a slow, deliberate motion, Jedediah extended a skeletal hand towards the fire, his long, bony fingers twitching as if yearning to grasp the dancing flames. "This cave!" he rasped, his voice barely rising above the crackling fire. "It hungers. It craves the warmth of living souls, and for centuries I have been its shepherd, guiding lost lambs to its embrace." The chilling realization dawned upon them. Panic surged through the hikers, raw and desperate. They scrambled backward, their eyes wide with terror, breaths coming in ragged gasps. The darkness beyond the firelight pressed in on them, a suffocating blanket of dread. "Run!" Mark shouted, his voice raw with terror. He lunged for Emily's hand, pulling her along as he turned and fled blindly into the darkness. Sarah and David hesitated for a heartbeat, their gazes locked on Jedediah's chillingly calm demeanour. "Foolish children," Jedediah rasped, his voice echoing through the caverns, a chilling counterpoint to their panicked breaths. "You cannot escape the cave's embrace." He made no move to pursue them, his skeletal frame seemingly rooted to the spot. He didn't need to. Their footsteps echoed through the caverns, a frantic tattoo against the oppressive silence. The darkness twisted and turned around them, the passages shifting and changing like a labyrinth designed to trap them in its depths. The air grew thick and heavy, the scent of decay overwhelming, choking off their breath, their hope. The cave had them now, its icy fingers closing around their hearts, dragging them down into the abyss. It was a few days later when a lone park ranger, on his routine patrol, stumbled upon a curious sight near the entrance to the Cave of Lost Souls. There, lying on the damp earth, was a backpack, torn open as if by some unseen force. Its contents were scattered haphazardly, a half-eaten energy bar among them. Nearby, a pair of sunglasses lay shattered, their lenses reflecting the dim light filtering through the trees. And there, almost hidden among the leaves, was a single hiking boot, its laces still tightly tied, as if it had been ripped from its owner's foot with an impossible force. The ranger's heart skipped a beat as he recognized the belongings instantly. These were the possessions of the hikers who had been reported missing earlier that week. He had seen their faces on the missing person posters plastered across the park's information boards, their smiles now haunting reminders of the dangers lurking beneath the park's tranquil facade. A chill snaked down the ranger's spine as he surveyed the scene. He had heard the whispers, the chilling tales passed down through generations of park rangers. Stories of the cave's insatiable hunger, its taste for lost souls. He had always dismissed them as folklore, campfire tales meant to scare tourists and keep them on the marked trails. But now, standing at the mouth of the abyss, the weight of the cave's dark history pressed down on him, suffocating him with its ancient malevolent power. He knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that whoever enters the cave will never be seen again. Their laughter, their dreams, their very essence, consumed by an evil as old as time itself. For weeks the forest echoed with the calls of those seeking the lost hikers. But the forest held its secrets tight, offering only heartbreak and unanswered questions. Park rangers, volunteers and search and rescue teams scoured every inch of the wilderness. Their efforts were tireless, their determination unwavering, yet the forest remained silent, giving no clue to the fate of the missing souls. The cave, with its dark, foreboding entrance, seemed to mock their efforts. Its labyrinthine passages held secrets buried deep, refusing to reveal the truth. As time passed, the case grew cold. The Search Command Centre emptied and the files gathered dust, another tragic tale in the long, dark history of the Cave of Lost Souls. Yet the park remained a popular destination. Tourists hiked its scenic trails, took pictures of its waterfalls and enjoyed its beauty, blissfully unaware of the horrors lurking beneath the surface. But the locals, their blood tied to the land, knew better. Around cosy fires, they whispered stories passed down through generations, tales of the cave's dark power. The Cave of Lost Souls was no ordinary place. It was a place of ancient, unyielding darkness, a place of power that demanded respect and fear. It was a place to be avoided, a place to be feared. The warnings were clear, yet the cave's ominous presence continued to draw the curious and the brave. As the years turned into decades, the whispers never ceased. Carried on the wind, they echoed through the trees, a chilling reminder that some places hold a darkness that can never be truly extinguished. The Cave of Lost Souls waited patiently, its hunger unsated, its maw forever open. It was always ready to swallow the next unsuspecting soul that dared to venture too close. In the quiet corners of the local tavern, where the fire crackles and shadows dance on the walls, the old-timers gather to share stories passed down through generations. These are not just tales for entertainment, but warnings for those who dare to listen. They speak of the cave's origins, of an ancient tribe that once worshipped dark entities within its depths. It's said that the spirits of these entities still haunt the cave, forever hungry, forever waiting. Some say they can hear whispers on the wind, speaking in a language long forgotten, calling out to those who wander too close. There are stories of a miner driven mad by the cave's whispers who vanished without a trace, leaving behind only his pickaxe, embedded in the cave's entrance as if warning others to stay away. Another tale tells of a young couple who sought refuge in the cave during a storm, only to be found days later, their faces frozen in terror, their bodies untouched by time. The most chilling legend is that of the lost children. It's said that on certain nights the cries of children can be heard echoing from within the cave. Locals believe these are the spirits of children who were lured into the darkness, never to return. Some even claim to have seen ghostly figures of children playing near the cave's entrance, only to vanish when approached. As the night grows darker and the fire burns low, the stories become more sinister. The old-timers lean in close, their voices hushed, as they share the final warning. The Cave of Lost Souls is not just a place, it's a living entity. It feeds on fear, it thrives on despair, and it will stop at nothing to claim its next victim. These legends, whispered in the shadows, serve as a grim reminder to the locals. The Cave of Lost Souls is a place of power, a place of ancient, unyielding darkness. And as the wind howls outside, carrying the whispers of the past, one truth remains clear. Some places are best left undisturbed. The hunger of the cave remains, and its whispers continue, eternally calling out to those who dare to listen. In a world woven from shadows and whispers, there was a tale unlike any other. The characters, places and events in this story are born from the depths of imagination, or perhaps from the echoes of forgotten dreams. Though they may seem familiar, any likeness to real people, places or happenings is purely coincidental. Do you have the courage to confront the unknown? Gooseberry Falls State Park beckons you with its mysterious allure. Please like and subscribe.